beautiful city, or at least once beautiful city, because they've changed so much over the last 10 years. Our first consideration should be the rights and safety of the hardworking, law-abiding citizens who make our society function. When I'm back in the White House, we will use every tool, lever, and authority to get the homeless off our streets. We want to take care of them, but they have to be off our streets. There is nothing compassionate about letting these individuals live in filth and squalor rather than getting them the help that they need. We need professionals to help them. For a small fraction of what we spend upon Ukraine, we could take care of every homeless veteran in America. Our veterans are being treated horribly. Likewise, with all of the money we will save by ending mass unskilled migration, we will have a huge dividend to address this crisis in our own country. Under my strategy, working with states, we will ban urban camping wherever possible. Violators of these bans will be arrested, but they will be given the option to accept treatment and services if they're willing to be rehabilitated. Many of them don't want that, but we'll give them the option. We will then open up large parcels of inexpensive land, bring in doctors, psychiatrists, social workers, and drug rehab specialists, and create 10 cities where the homeless can be relocated and their problems identified. But we'll open up our cities again, make them livable and make them beautiful. For those who are just temporarily down on their luck, we will work to help them quickly reintegrate into a normal life. For those who have addictions, substance abuse, and common mental health problems, we will get them into treatment. And for those who are severely mentally ill and deeply disturbed, we will bring them back to mental institutions where they belong, with the goal of reintegrating them back into society once they are well enough to manage. It's a tough task, a very tough task. What's taken place on the streets, what's taken place with their taking so much drugs. But the fact is, we're going to try. This strategy will be far better and also far less expensive than spending vast sums of taxpayer money to house the homeless in luxury hotels without addressing their underlying issues, and they have so many of these underlying issues and needs. This is how I will end the scourge of homelessness and make our cities clean and safe and beautiful once again. We will do it. We will bring back America. Thank you.
What we call a 10-year plan to end chronic homelessness in San Francisco.
How are you going to solve homelessness? What are you going to do as a new mayor? And I say, well, what are you going to do?
Focus on a housing first model, direct access to housing.
Shelter solve sleep, housing with wraparound and support services, solve homelessness. Homelessness absolutely can be solved.
Laid out a detailed homeless strategy. There's been no intentionality on homelessness in this state for decades. It's not been a focus.
I don't think we can solve homelessness. I know we can solve homelessness. We will reduce street homelessness quickly and humanely through emergency action.
The highest investment the state's ever made is $1 billion on homelessness. We are poised to pass a budget in the next few hours that will provide $12 billion of investment.
I can literally quantify 58,000 people that we got off the streets last year, and none of you would believe it.
The state has not made progress in the last 2 decades as it relates to homelessness. Why?
We're not interested in funding failure. We're not interested in failing more efficiently when it comes to the issue of homelessness and the crisis on the street.
As you say, it's not just about giving someone an actual physical place to be. It's about helping them move past whatever the barrier is, right, in their life that's not allowing them to, have a better opportunity for themselves.
That's exactly right. We want to reward these institutions to get people off of government subsidies, get them out of government-funded homeless shelters and things of this nature, and launch them into self-sustainable lifestyles. That really is what America is about. And if you think about people that are coming out of homelessness, that are coming out of a homeless shelter, that are coming out of incarceration, that want to get a new lease on life, and they have an opportunity to put their hands to the plow and their feet on the ground to work an honorable job that does something for us, not just externally, but internally, to make a living and to take care of themselves and take care of their family. And I think when we continue to do that, it'll be a different story in our country.
I'm at Wallace Marine Park in Salem, Oregon. It's 114 acres, again, a public park, completely filled with trash. It's a perfect example of radicalized progressive policies that have done this do-nothing approach. I'd say there's at least 500 camps and another 400 that are abandoned. Probably about 500,000 pounds of trash. What's crazy is this is only a few miles from the state capitol, and it's just, this whole area's just been ignored, and it's just crazy to see that, you know, billions of dollars are poured into this homeless crisis, but where is the money going? Because everyone here says we don't really get help. Check this. Nobody is actually in charge of ending homelessness, okay? It's easy to assume it being a multi-billion-dollar industry, but when you dig deep, nobody's in charge, and that is one of the biggest reasons why we are getting nowhere, okay? The county has no authority over the city. The city has no authority over the county. The county funds NGOs, nonprofits, but has no say in how they function day to day. Faith-based programs do solid work, but are never at the big kids table making any of the decisions, unfortunately. Long story short is there's all these different little groups doing little things, but nobody's in charge of anybody else, which means everyone's doing it their own way. And unfortunately, that's what creates the chaos. I believe we need a homeless czar. We need someone where the buck stops with them. Not only do we need one at the United States level, I actually think we need one at every single state level, possibly even major county level, where it's like they are in charge. They have the final say. Then you can hire or vote on a person that you believe will make the right decisions to actually make a measurable difference to end this homeless crisis, this addiction crisis, this mental health crisis. What do you think?
Welcome to Truth with JJ Carrell. Huge problem in America. And one of those gentlemen that was walking in the park, 100 acres, 114 acres. I showed you another 100 acres in Washington yesterday's show. This is 114 acres of EPA Superfund disaster because we have allowed truly mental patients to run our government. Just ignore these people. Just ignore them. It's okay. We can't walk on the streets. We can't walk through our cities. We get accosted. They're doing drugs. Okay, just let them do drugs. Let them kill themselves. Let them live on the street, but ruin our lives. Ruin our quality of life. ACLU is going to sue. Well, let them sue. Donald Trump is literally bulldozing encampments in Washington, D.C. I played that clip of Donald Trump in the presidential election lead up. Why? Because everything he said there is true. We have to remove these people from our society or help them move up into society. But if they have severe mental issues, if they are absolutely drug addicted and out of their mind, do you think it's compassionate to allow people to live on the street, never bathing, constantly being high on drugs, mental disease that we can't even fathom, and live like animals? You think that's fair? You think that's moral? You think that is Christian? That's insanity. Where are the insane asylums? People are insane. So why do we not have any insane asylums? To act as if we don't have severe mental issues in our country is to just be a fool. I want to say this before we go any further on this show. You may not like Donald Trump, or you may be a huge supporter like I am and of the MAGA movement. We have to pray for that man, because he has been giving a nation in every segment of the country, economics, media, entertainment, sports, schools through education, healthcare, foreign entanglements, corruption within every branch of the government, sexual perversion, absolute societal chaos, crime, homelessness. Think of what that man, look, I have a hard time just trying to figure out what I'm going to put in my show, because there's so much to talk about that I have to almost like go, okay, look, we're going to focus on crime today. Tomorrow we're going to do homelessness. I plan it out, right? I plan it out. And then there's another explosion because world's in chaos. Donald Trump is dealing with literally tens, if not hundreds of massive major issues that no president has ever dealt with. They've kicked the can down the road. They've lied to us. They've bastardized our system. They're so corrupt, they just enrich themselves. Now we have a guy that doesn't need any more riches because he has more money than on planet Earth. You can't tempt him with beautiful women because he has a smoking hot first lady. You can't do anything to try to entice him. What does he need? Does he need more hotels? Does he need more cars he can't drive? He has beautiful children that are all successful, beautiful grandchildren that are healthy, beautiful wife that loves him. No, you can't get to him. Then they hate that. And now he's doing stuff. He's pointing out the gigantic pink elephants in the room. And I want to focus today on homelessness and crime. They're intertwined. And I have a unique guest. And I say he's a unique guest because he's a businessman based in Texas, and he's tackling these issues. And I want to hear someone's idea on homelessness. I'm very, very excited, and I look forward to speaking to him about what's his idea on homelessness, because everyone else's idea has failed, just failed miserably. We look at that jackass Gavin Newsome. I lived in California. I'm telling you, it is beyond comprehension how stupid the people are that run that state and how corrupt they are. He has spent somewhere in the over $20 billion on homelessness, and it's gotten worse. Think if I gave you $20 billion to solve any problem in the world, $20 billion, and you came back to me and said, I'm out of money and it's worse. Holy cow. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? $20 billion, I could have built an entire city that you just send homeless people to in segments wherever they land, and we rehabilitate them and get back into society. And you fail, you go back. Maybe that's the, and I believe in that. I believe that that's what needs to be done. Before I bring this gentleman in, first sponsor of our show, sat123.com, sat123.com. If you don't want to believe the way I do or think the way I do, that you don't need to be absolutely prepared, because things are going to go sideways, and it's going to get more chaotic and more chaotic and more chaotic before we get better, because the system is so broken. The corruption is so deep. You don't have to think that way. That's fine. Just be prepared. Be prepared for regular life. Cell towers going down, no connectability. I can't reach my family. My son goes to a violent school. My daughter goes to a school that's great, but guess what? The safety protocols are not that good. Or your wife travels and she needs a backpack with a ballistic shield in it. I hate having to pitch a ballistic backpack, but our society, I hate to say that because it's a condemnation on our society. But this is reality. Reality is, it doesn't care what your perspective is or what your truth is. Reality is just reality. The reality is we live in an ultra-violent society where there's no law and order, and then that's why my wife and my son and I have a ballistic backpack. My son's about to drive. My wife drives all over the place, so we have sat phones. We always have connectability, always. always. sat123.com/JJ. I'm going to read my next guest bio before I bring him in. Monty Bennett, CEO and chairman of Ashford, Inc., leading hospitality asset management firm. He's a businessman. I love talking to businessmen because they are problem solvers. This is what they do. For the past several years, Monty has leveraged his business expertise and significant philanthropy to lead and support various initiatives aimed at countering destructive policies nationwide. He has multitude of things that he wants to that he's directed his focus on, but today I want to focus on two. Like I said, they're intertwined: homelessness and crime, but homelessness at first. Monty Bennett, welcome to Truth with JJ Carrell. Nice to meet you, sir.
Great to meet you. Great to meet you. Thanks for having me.
No, I'm very, we have a mutual friend and said, you need to speak to this gentleman. And I said, okay, well, what's he want to talk about? He's into homelessness and trying to fix that problem. I was like, perfect. I want to talk to someone about this because I think this is a gigantic elephant, like gigantic, or maybe a herd of elephants in our nation right now, and nobody wants to deal with it. Trump is starting to deal with it. So I'm just going to throw it out to you. Sir, tell me what your response or your solution to this massive homelessness issue in America today.
Well, I'll tell you, JJ, and I can't thank you enough for what you're doing and the word that you're spreading out there, because it's so true what you're saying. And I can speak for myself, and I think I can speak for millions other business men and women out there, where 30, 40 years ago, I got out of college and I wanted to just go to church and be with my family and run my business and live my life. And a long time ago, before that, business leaders were involved and on city councils. They were on school boards. They helped run our government institutions. And what I did, and what so many others did, is we stepped back. We didn't want the criticism. We didn't want the far left media and all the nasty things that they make up and say. And so we just, quote unquote, minded our own business. And then we lifted our head up and we see what a disaster everything has become. And it was just a few years ago where I said, I've had enough and I wanted to get a lot more involved. And so I have. One of the problems you have is even the business organizations that are out there today are captured. They have quite a number of government people involved, quite a number of people involved in the homelessness industrial complex involved. And people are talking up their own book and trying to do whatever helps their organization get more funds to solve the homelessness issue, which doesn't work. And as you can see, it is a very straightforward problem to address. So many people over the years have said, Monty, thank you for, taking on this complex issue. And I said, it's not complex. It's not complex at all. It's very simple. And we can see that by what Trump did in the DC area. He just rolled in extra police support, started cleaning up some of these sites and directing these people to where they need to go. We don't have the will. And we don't have the will because the cities are far left and they have agendas. And they've got people pressuring them to keep things like they are. I mean, look at this. Our city governments got talked into defunding the police as a solution for crime. Can you think of anything more ridiculous than that? That's like solving hunger by taking food away from everybody. I mean, it's so absurd. Yet this mentality took over so many cities and so many people. And so you've got a lot of people that buy into these absurdities and they want people out on the streets, some because they're nefarious and they buy into this far left Cloward-Piven strategy of bringing destruction onto our country. Some are just deceived to think that this somehow helps people. And so the problems persist. When we can see that the problems can go away overnight if there's the will. There's not the will in these local governments. The business groups are so-so. Sometimes they've got some goodwill, but the problem is a lot of these big public companies, they just want the status quo. They don't want to be called out on anything. So they fund a lot of money to these big business groups, and the CEOs themselves don't go to these meetings. They send someone 18 levels down in the bureaucracy, some assistant to the assistant of government affairs who attends, who's typically far left. And then they push these far left views into these business groups, and then nothing happens. We had a referendum last year to add 1,000 police officers and to raise police pay to be in the top 5 of all the police departments in North Texas. We had several large business groups come out against it, if you can imagine something so absurd and so ridiculous. And the rationale and the reasoning was just crazy. They'd say things like, oh, well, it's not the right way to solve the problem. Okay, well, what's the right way? Well, we need to do X, Y, and Z. Okay, well, haven't you done it for 15 years? Well, they're working on it. Just mealy mouths, just nothing, just excuses, just on and on. Or they'll make up lies about, oh, well, it'll open our city up to lawsuits. False, lie. But it's crazy because these business groups have been sidelined. They've been captured. They've been marginalized. And we need business groups with business leaders in them that want to see change and are willing to stick their necks out to get that change. And there's a lot of good business leaders out there. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good business leaders, but there's not enough. And these institutions of business organizations either need to be completely taken off the map and taken out of service, or totally and completely reformed, because they are toothless. So the cities themselves, I don't think, when you have a left-wing populist that's voting some people into the city, they're not going to do much without pressure. And I think the logical pressure point is from organized businesses, and we just don't have that. There are a few, but we don't have enough.
Well, what would you say? Like, I don't know if you saw the montage of videos coming into your entrance, but there was a gentleman, and I didn't know this in the way that he laid it out, right? It's common sense. I should have. It's common sense. But he said, there's no one in charge of homelessness. Like, there's not a homelessness czar. Like, we have czars for everything. We have people that are responsible for everything you can imagine in federal government. If I made you the homeless czar, tell me the steps you would take. What would your first thing to do? Would it be like Donald Trump, bulldoze them all and put them somewhere? And if they are, go somewhere. What does that look like? What is needed? So give me a step-by-step if you're the czar of homelessness.
Well, one thing is that we need to address these individuals. And right now I'm working on something in Dallas called Refuge for Renewal, which is a homelessness center. And we're trying to get up and going, and we're raising money. But the most important thing about it is that it's 3 miles south of downtown. We don't put it right where all the other people are. We put it in a place that's more secluded. And then what we're doing is we're having people, as they're picked up, homeless people, as they're picked up for one reason or another, are taking to this place. And then they will be triaged, and some with mental issues will go some way, some with addiction will go another way, some people that don't care will go another place, and you address the issues. But people are going to fill in gaps and vacuums. And part of the problem right now is that there hadn't been enough pressure to pressure people off the streets. The streets are a public good. They're for everyone. It shouldn't be allowable that someone can take a piece of public property and privatize it and take it as their own, right? You and I are not allowed to do that, to take public property and just to privatize it. But for some reason, so many cities say it's okay if you're homeless, whatever that means, because there's a lot of people that will wander around and panhandle that have homes. They just come around and panhandle because they can raise money that way. But there's a lot that are truly homeless, and they truly need our help. So the first steps, what you do is you start applying pressure to them on the streets to pack up the tents. You can't let them stay in a tent. You can't let them stay where they are. You put pressure on them. You don't let them loiter, and you start moving them from their safe spaces wherever that is. Then you provide an opportunity for them to go to a place where they can get help. But realize a lot of them don't want help. They are where they want to be, and there's reasons for that. And that's part of the challenge. But what you can't do is say, oh, well, because you don't like to go to someplace else, it's okay for you to stay here. That's just not acceptable. Look at the culture involved. Have you noticed that almost all the homeless people are white men or black men? You don't see many Hispanics. You don't see many Asians. You don't see many Indians. You don't see very many women. Those are underrepresented. And part of the problem is that the culture in many parts of this country has come so that before we took care of our family members, and that still exists in those cultures, but it doesn't exist so much in white culture and black culture. And look at women versus men. Well, women typically don't like to live in the squalor that men can live in, or women can be harmed on the streets. They got reason not to be on the streets. But men can endure that a lot better. They're less likely to be abused on the streets or attacked or things stolen from them and the like. And so you've got to apply pressure. We've got to encourage families to take in their relatives and to bring them in and to help them, and then to have facilities for those people that don't have those options. And here in Dallas, we're working on one of those facilities. There's one down in San Antonio that's been successful called Haven for Hope. And so that's underway. We need to build some more of them around our great cities and get these people the help they deserve. And if they won't accept our help, well, then they can't clog up our cities and harass citizens just because they refuse help. So that's how I go about it. And that's how I think Trump's going about it. And it's obviously working. It's very simple.
I do agree with you. It is a very simple problem. The solutions are simple as well. I don't think it's complex. Just like everything else in life, sir, it's very black and white, right? There's we cause the gray area. It's very black and white. You can't stay here. I'm going to put you into some facility to help you. If you don't want help, then we'll go through this cycle of I fine you, I arrest you, I put you somewhere, and we'll just go through this cycle, but you're never ever going to be stationary, meaning you're never going to build a tent and defecate and urinate all over our public street. Not going to happen. I'll give you a great example of very, very bad planning. I lived in Rapid City, South Dakota for 2 years. Absolutely love Rapid City. I love the Black Hills. However, they have a homelessness issue. And the reason why is they built all the homeless shelters and services downtown. Their downtown is a mecca for all their revenue is within a 4-month period to come see Mount Rushmore. And they built the homelessness sites downtown. And then everyone is looking at each other and going, why do we have homeless people roaming downtown? And I remember being an outsider coming in. No one likes outsiders, but sometimes a different lens works. And just something so simple as saying, well, you have all the homeless shelters downtown. What did you think? You were going to corral them like animals? Well, we didn't think. I go, yeah, that's the problem. Then move them out, right? Move the facility. No, we can't do that. Well, then we live in, I think, sir, and as a businessman, I'd like to hear your response to this. As successful businessmen, I think that we are led by a conglomerate of people that fall into the dumbest people in our society, people that are absolutely morally bankrupt, and people that are absolutely corrupt. They're either one of those threes or a combination of them. Do you think I'm too harsh, or do you agree with that statement?
No, you're not too harsh, JJ. And in fact, I'd add something to those groups. I think there's a lot of conservatives, and we're just gullible. I think conservatives are just naturally gullible. I was on the Capitol steps on January 6th, or just about 30 yards from them. And I was this close to walking in. And I didn't, not for any reason other than it was just too much of a hassle and I want to go do some other things. But I was too gullible to realize at the time that the whole thing was a trap. The whole thing was a trap, and the whole thing was a setup. And they entrapped many people and put a lot of people through a lot of terrible pain because they entrapped people. But as conservatives, we wouldn't have thought that our own government would entrap us. Well, we're gullible. And what happens in these cities and everywhere is they try to prey on our compassion. And, oh, this is the best way. This is taking care of people. I mean, the person is on the ground, right, writhing around with the needles in the arms. And yet we're being told that this is the compassionate way to treat them when it's totally absurd. And after a while, I think many of us conservatives say, oh, well, okay. And thank you, JJ, for what you're doing, because you're bringing the truth to people. You're telling people what the truth is and that this is not compassionate. This is not compassionate at all. And so these people that are involved, I don't think we can change them, but we can change ourselves. And we can change ourselves to not be gullible and to stand up and say, this is not compassionate. God calls us to take care of people, and this is not taking care of people. And God also tells us that giving someone what they want, when they want, is not love. It's getting them what they need, no matter the cost. And these people need facilities. They need drug addiction counseling. They need mental health counseling. And if they can't get it, or if they won't get it, well, that's fine, because we do have a free society, but they can't clog up our sidewalks and our free spaces and our open spaces because they choose not to help themselves. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to be smarter about what's going on around us.
I agree with you. And I also agree that this is a spiritual war. This is a war against good versus evil, or you want to just be honest and let's just say this is God versus Satan. And when you go into these homeless encampments or you walk through drug dens, and I did this when I filmed a documentary. I went into Kensington neighborhood in Philadelphia. I have never been so disgusted in all of my life. This is a giant open air drug den of pain, suffering, and misery. And something that Donald Trump said in his campaign and what I played earlier on the show, if we took a fraction, sir, just a fraction of the money we sent to Ukraine, just a fraction of $300 billion. If I gave you, sir, right now as a businessman, somebody that manages properties and does a multitude of different things in Dallas, if I gave you a fraction of that, let's say I gave you 5% or 10%, I gave you 30 billion. Heck, let's say 1%, I gave you just 2 billion, 3 billion. What could you do with $2 or $3 billion? We could set up in immense huge hospitals, living quarters. And the idea, sir, the idea that the homeless need homes, that's absurd. They live in squalor. If I give someone a home, they're going to turn it into a drug or a prostitution den. That's it. This idea that we can continue to spend money in the billions of dollars doing the same damn thing is absurd. And I'll give you the best example. Gavin Newsome. At least they conservatively estimate that he has spent, being mayor of San Francisco and now governor, at least over $20 to $25 billion on homelessness, and nothing's changed. I believe this is a war. I think this is a part of the overall war that we are now facing in America. And it's a good versus evil. And I believe the people on the left, and ironically, the Bible talks about people on the left, they're evil because what they have done to these people are evil. And with no help, the idea, you said it, I'll give you another analogy. You are looking at, you use a food analogy. We are telling drug addicts that are suffering in the streets, our idea is to give them more drugs. It's like having a severely obese person that's 500 pounds and going to die, and we keep shoving pizza and cookies in front of them and say, keep eating. It's all, I just want you to be happy. Keep eating. We live in a sick society, sir, I believe.
It's absurd. And you talked about Gavin Newsome. I ran into him 30 years ago, 30 years ago, maybe, in the hotel business. He was not a good person back then, and he's not a good person now. And he has no intent, he has no desire of solving homelessness. And the problem, I think, is not the fact that he's a liar, which he is. The problem is us listening to him and believing him, those of us that do, because it's just a lie. He's got no intent, because if he wanted to solve the homelessness problem, he could solve it in 5 minutes. He's the governor, after all, but he doesn't. He'd rather get up there and pretend like his hands are tied and he's trying and he's doing everything and he's committed. And the populace is just like, oh, okay, you're trying hard. You really mean it this time. I mean, it's just absurd. And what we've got to do is stop listening to this and stop believing it. Do like what you're doing, JJ, just call him an outright liar, which he is, and tell everybody that'll listen, what you're also doing is these are just lies. Be smart. Mm-hmm. People lie. That's what people do. A lot of people do. And what you've got to do is decide for yourself. Your example,
sir,
perfect.
No, I appreciate your time today. And I'm looking at your biography. I'm looking at what you're doing. I'd like to have you back and talk about the issue of crime, the issue, and I believe it's entangled with homelessness. And you have a crime problem in Texas. You have a crime problem in the major cities. You are a major city in the trafficking world, too, of narcotics and human people, human smugglers. And I would like to have that conversation with you. Can you tell my audience where they can follow you, where they can help with donations if your organization is taking donations to fight homelessness, crime, etc.
Sure. You can follow me on X. My handle there is at Monty Bennett, MontyBennett. And as far as a front-facing spot for donations, we don't have one of those, but maybe I should set something up because we could use the support. And we don't have enough resources. It's mainly funded by myself and a few other business folks. But we need help, and it can be done. It just needs time and attention and focus.
I agree. Thank you, sir, for your time. I believe everyone needs to be involved, from big business leaders like yourself to podcasters like me and to just the average Americans. We need to take our country back. And this is one of the giant elephants in the room that is roaring. And it's time to stop ignoring the problem and let's fix our country. Our country is in a moral decay. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, JJ. Blessings on you.
I love talking to businessmen. Why? Because they have a bottom line. If they don't focus on their bottom line, it's over. The business is done. The employees can't be paid. That's why you see Donald Trump. He's not a politician. He's like, oh, we got a homeless problem? Okay, clean it out. Take them down. Get the sanitation workers, rip them down, throw it away. Oh, they're not going to leave. Arrest them. Arrest them. There are laws in the books. I don't need to create any more laws. I don't care what you have to do, but get them off my streets. Is there these people that are on drugs? They did it to themselves. I mean, I tell my son all the time, look at that homeless person. They're drugged out. They're the mental patient. Look at you can see they're on meth. And I say, don't look at them and think that you're better, son. You're not. You're one bad decision. One night going partying, you're drinking, and you're like, I'm going to try cocaine. I'm going to try heroin. And then it's over. You're built like your father. You're very addictive. You're very the same thing all the time, repetitive in what you do, which most men are. And you fall into you don't know this, but the addiction might take hold instantly. And then it's over, son. Then your life is a battle. But those men and those women decided to do that one time, so they have that culpability. And where does their rights begin to impede mine? If I can't go down to a neighborhood, I can't go downtown to a city. Oh, I can't go now to my grocery store because there's homeless people. There's fights, there's prostitution, there's drug dealing, it's public health. People are defecating on the sidewalks. But we have become so normalized to the insanity in our country because we have been led and continue to be led by mental patients, truly sick, perverted human beings. I'm not talking about the homeless. I'm talking about our politicians, our business leaders. Man, it's a rough world. I want you to go to Pet Club 24/7. Talk about segue. I have to. Business. Please support our sponsors. A lady just sent me an email asking me, what's that website where you give your dog cinnamon for treats? So I said, oh, okay, just go to truthwithjj247.com, truthwithjj247.com. It's a mushroom put in a capsule, put into bombs, put into dog treats. And all it does, not all it does, but the main reason for taking Pet Club 24/7 is to increase your immune system, to increase your gut, to stop the inflammation. I use it. It works. My dog gets treats. I remember right when I got Pet Club 24/7 as a sponsor, and I was giving my dog her treats, and I felt it in my hand, and I was like, is this like a chew toy or is this like a treat? Because I went back to look at the box. I was like, of course it has to be a treat. There's like 50 of them in there. Can't be chew toys. That's how it felt. That's how plasticky it felt. Now I give her pet treats that she loves that are natural, that help her immune system. Truthwithjj247.com. All right, it's Thursday. I need a shot of hope. We're going to talk to Kim Yater about something that's not very hopeful, but I need to have a woman's perspective on this. Kim Yater, how are you doing this week?
Good morning, JJ Carrell. I'm doing fantastic. You are the best dad. You're such a good dad. You know,
thank you.
I love you're training your son up in the way to go. And that's powerful. Really, really important. You know, I have people, JJ, that reach out to me and say, I wish I could be half the man that JJ Carrell is. So you really are inspiring every listener today.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. There's days where I think, how could I suck anymore as a father? How did I say that to my son? And I talk to my buddies that are fathers, and I ask them, do you go through that? Like, yeah, I've been through that moment where I'm like, did you really say that out loud? But I love my son more than anything in the world, like you love your children.
Yes.
And as you see people on the street, we're not that far, Kim. We're not better than them. We just didn't make that one horrible or two or three horrible decisions back to back to back.
That's right. That's absolutely true. Gosh, looking back at the decisions that I made in my life, if there was not a pivotal point, and I call it boogers in the Bible point, honestly, it was a point that I was brought to my knees and a part of me died. If that did not occur and I did not turn my heart back to God, JJ, I don't know where I'd be. I don't know where my kids would be. So we are just one person away. I'm one step away, one decision away. So we get to choose. So that's the power. And I do believe, JJ, that if we direct our mind, our thoughts on what is good, what is true, what is noble, what is holy, what is trustworthy, what is pure, it'll direct our actions. It all starts with taking our thoughts captive. And we get to actually create a world. So if I did not at that moment, when I hit rock bottom, begin to seek God and take my thoughts captive and begin to be transformed by the renewing of my mind, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding you. I was in a relationship that was violent, and I never thought I would ever be there, that I would ever relive my childhood. But there I was, and that's where I was found. So I'm so grateful for the suffering and the adversity. But like you said, we're one step away. So we get to choose along the way. And those choices we make every day begin to build our belief system. So it's vital that we speak the truth, that we seek the truth with everything in us, and that we walk in that truth.
I agree. And just like the gentleman, I find it very fascinating. The gentleman I just had on prior to you is a businessman, very successful businessman from Texas, and he's tackling these issues of homelessness, crime. And when I talk to people like you, like Mr. Bennett, I could be talking to Chris from Sat 123. And what I find is fascinating to me, and just regular people on the street that I don't know are Christians or believe in God, everyone is coming to the realization that we are in a war of good versus evil, that God is fighting Satan. And it's not any more whispers like, I think they're Satan. No, people are saying out loud, this is obvious that we are in a spiritual war.
Yes.
We're losing. We're losing.
Yes.
And people, there's a franticness with my conversations with these people as well. Do you find that in your day-to-day?
Yes. So JJ, you said something, God is fighting Satan. That's not what's happening. Let me tell you what's happening, JJ. We have the ability to fight Satan and the darkness. Jesus says that we will do even greater things than him. We tell these spirits to flee, they will flee. If we stand in the gap and declare justice, if we are living it by example, and we are utilizing the power that comes from our Creator, knowing whose we are, let me tell you, we are immovable, and we will shift shift what's happening in our country. It all goes back to 2 Chronicles 7:14. The word says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, seek my face, pray, turn from their wicked ways, I will hear their voice and heal their land. You see, we become new creations. We can do amazing things. So is God fighting Satan? Yeah, the battle's going on, but he gives us the ability to bring his kingdom on this earth as it is in heaven. We get to declare, we get to live, we get to stand in the gap and make the difference right where we are. We don't need to wait for God. We wait on God, but he provides us with everything we need to fight this battle daily.
Okay, let's talk about the fight. Let's talk about this in real life. This is down in the weeds. This is the world we live in. Because we have not been fighting, because we have been impotent, because we have been afraid, because we have been living in a selfish world, we've allowed the, quote, representatives of our government to destroy our country. Not trying to, they have destroyed it. And because we are trying with all of our might to regain, to get to normalcy, right?
Yes.
One of the issues that is plaguing America, and I have been pounding this since I was in the Border Patrol and then after, we have a massive, massive illegal alien crime problem in America. And one of the crimes that these savages do is they rape our women and our children.
Yeah.
This is an uncomfortable topic. I would like Thomas to play. He's going to play 7, 8 clips, 7, 8, 9, and 10 back to back to back. I want you to see this, and I want your comment on this epidemic. It's an epidemic. It's every single day, Kim, multiple times a day of reports of illegal aliens raping women. And I want it from a male's perspective. I would like to just go out and be given the green light by the Trump administration to go and kill all of them. But I want to hear what your reaction is as a woman in America and a strong voice in America. Play these clips for us, please, Thomas.
The 2 men apprehended are shown right here. We have Jose Morales here on the left. He's accused of kidnapping. And then on the right, there's Luis Dominguez. He faces kidnapping, sodomy, and rape charges. The Cali County Sheriff tells me they're both being held on this ICE detainer, so they could be deported. Our Kansas City police telling us the 2 are accused of taking a woman against her will from a casino in Newkirk, Oklahoma, so just right across that state line. The woman says that she was sexually assaulted by both those suspects, and they brought her to Ark City. Police followed up on a tip and went to South 6th Street. That's on the south side of town, and they were able to find the suspects and the victim. She was taken to the hospital for treatment.
Breaking news out of Calera. Investigators telling us a man is in custody charged with rape. Investigators with the Calera Police Department's Criminal Investigations Division and members of the Crisis Response Tactical Team executed a search warrant at a house on Village Lane Thursday night. Roger De La Cruz Perez, who officers say is illegally in the U.S., could also face federal charges as well.
Police say a man's in jail after he was accused of raping a child. Authorities said the victim told investigators that 53-year-old Irene Gomez had been abusing them for several years. Officers say that Gomez knows the victim and their family. He's now facing multiple charges, including rape and sexual abuse of a victim under 12. He's being held on a $100,000 bond. Now, police say they learned about this case because another child was involved in a community program that taught the importance of speaking up. Officers say that child helped the victim tell investigators what happened.
New developments: an undocumented immigrant accused of killing a Cobb County mother is now indicted on new charges. This is a story we've been on top of all week. 21-year-old Hector Sagastum Rivas is now charged with malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, rape, aggravated sexual battery, and necrophilia. He's accused of killing Camilla Williams and dumping her body in a Cobb County neighborhood. ICE has requested that he remain in the Cobb County jail for removal proceedings.
Kim, every single day. That last one, just so people understand what the last charge was, he killed her, and when she was dead, he raped her again. And I want you, so this is happening across America every single day because Joe Biden and the gutless Republicans did this to us. What's your response as a woman?
Speechless. It's so sad. It is sick. It is twisted. This is the consequence of depravity depravity throughout the entire creation of mankind. You know, just even Rachel Morin's story, she's one of those people that we hear all about over and over. It's the common story. And the sick, twisted thing is, not only did he leave her body dead on after raping her, mutilating her, he ends up in California and does the same thing to 2 young girls. Okay. So now those girls lived, but he harmed those girls and then was found somewhere in the Midwest. This is sick. This is twisted. And as a woman, I have to tell you, when I led the Take Our Border Back movement across the country, and we had security all throughout that event, though my experience of that level of protection was almost like God saying, this is what I want for my people. I want them to feel safe. I want them to experience that level of a daddy protecting his children. That's what I want for America. That's what I want for this nation. That's what I want for my people, right? And so experiencing that for me was this amazing moment. I want everybody to be able to experience that. And here's the thing, it doesn't matter, black, white, it doesn't matter who you are. If you have fallen in the pathway of one of these perpetrators, then it could happen to any one of you. So it is our responsibility to stand in the gap and make sure that the border is protected. And I know we did that with Take Our Border Back. I know, ICE is working on that, but the reality is, they can't get everybody out of this country. We don't have the funding to do that. So how do we protect our children? How do we protect our cities, our counties, our state? How do we do that? It's going to start by, just like General Flynn says, local action equals national impact. We got to create these communities. You need to know who your neighbors are. You need to get out of your house, get to know your neighbors, begin to build that community. Maybe it's your church community. Build the community so that you're creating a safe space. And we put people in positions that we vote for. We make sure our vote is heard. First of all, we go back to paper ballot, one-day elections, right? Voter ID, that's exactly what we do. We put people in power that are going to protect our cities, our states, our nation. That's what we do. So as a woman, having experienced myself, what it's like to go through being raped, being forced upon, you know what? Here's the thing. The only hope is in God's healing from that trauma. Now, thank God I lived. What about those in this country who did not live? This is what we've got to stand for. This is what we've got to fight for. And if you're Googling and you're going to mainstream media to look up illegal immigrants that have crossed the border during the Biden administration, how many of them have raped and murdered and pillaged? You're not going to find the real information at all.
Nope, you're not, Kim. I do it. I do this all the time. I get all these reports from different websites and I just go, let me see what Google says. Boom. No, nothing. They send me to LULAC and La Raza. And I'm like, holy smokes. This is this is a propaganda lie about everything. And where are the Code Pink? Where are the feminists? They can't be found. They cannot be found. And this is a cultural, societal issue from Latin America, South America, Mexico.
Yeah.
Oh, my show's going fast. Kim, I could stay on here with you and try to get hope as I try to talk about real things.
Choose hope. Choose hope, JJ. Choose it. Hope.
I'm trying, Kim. I'm trying. You and I, we have a minute, and I want to give you a 30 seconds elevator speech on why you and I take our power back through our sponsor we share, Patriots Made, because the prior guest was right. We give money to businesses that fund BLM. We give money to businesses that hate us. We give money to businesses that actually pay money, give donations to Planned Parenthood. Everything we despise, we fund. Right. We're funding it, Kim. So why do you and I use Patriots Made? 30 seconds, go.
We use Patriots Made because we're sick and tired of buying the narrative and the illusion that what we're buying at the store, what we grew up with, the Procter & Gamble's, the Colgate and Palmolive's, all the big box retailers that fund BlackRock and Vanguard are the way to go because they're more expensive, they're better ingredients. Are you kidding me? You keep doing what you're doing, you're going to live a sick life and die at an early age. That's the reality of toxic poisons of the body. We took our power back with Patriots Made by switching to an American debt-free Patriot manufacturer that makes products that are the best of science and nature, turns the lights onto your body. You begin to heal from the inside out and the outside in. You deserve that. Better, safer, less expensive. Let's bankrupt the corrupt. patriotsmade.com/JJ. JJ, your clients reach out to me all the time and they thank me over and over. I'm pooping normally. My stomach's better. Oh my gosh, my allergies are gone. That's the reality when you have better, safer ingredients and you switch to an American-made company. That's patriotsmade.com/JJ. One of our team of experts will reach out to you personally. It might even be me, and we'll make sure that your wellness needs are taken care of. patriotsmade.com/JJ. Let's take our power back.
Let's take our power back. Kim Yater, you're the best. You always give me a shot of hope. We are, and it's some days I'm like, I need a lot of it. And some days I'm like, I need an extra shot. So Kim Yater, takeyourpowerbackshow.com. Kim Yater, takeyourpowerbackshow.com. Kim, you're the best. We'll see you next week. Stay safe. Thank you.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Kim Yater, love her. Always positive. Always, always, always positive. In a world that is evil. Think about what we talked about today. I mean, seriously, let's just, I got a minute. Let's just recap. In one small show, we talked about how our federal government, our state, and our local governments have spent at least hundreds of billions of dollars on homelessness in the last year or two. Billions gone, wasted. Fatten the paychecks and bank accounts. We talked about crime. We talked about illegal aliens raping women and children. To say these are huge problems is an understatement. It's an understatement. Like Kim said, illegal aliens raping women and children, and they're surviving, not murdered, but they have to live through that. They have to live through the fact that our federal government brought them all into America, and our federal government did this to her citizens on purpose. Have you had enough yet, America? Are you ready to go to war yet?
Welcome to Technocracy News with your host, Patrick Wood. I am Logan House. Today we have pregnancy robots to give birth to human babies. Musk weighs abandoning the American Party in favor of supporting J.D. Vance. Doge AI tool SweetRex set to take Buzzsaw to federal regulations. And this is what technocracy actually looks like. Patrick, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really